You used to hold me, you used to touch me, you used to please me, you used to
Got me
tease
moving around.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to you, Rachael Cain.
Well, it's lovely to be here with you. You got me up early, I gotta say.
Well, I thought you would probably stayed up all night.
Well, you know, pretty much, because I was at Heroes of House Music, and that was fantastic. It was actually a benefit for Frankie Knuckles, one of the Trax Records artists that's on my label, and of course he passed away, and he was really the godfather of house.
Are you actually the Trax record person? Is that your label?
That is my label. So
Well, I got two questions. First of all, tell us about house music and what it's about, its origins, and its how it manifests itself and goes out around the world. And fill us in about the record label Trax, which I understand not only has a cool name, but it definitely has a lot of impact.
a lot of history. A small label with a big footprint. Well, house music is definitely a Chicago phenomena, which I think, you know, we can all be very proud of. And it's interesting because this year is really the first year that Cultural Affairs has said, hey, we're going to celebrate this music. Now, for all these other years, for instance, when London came to do a huge special, probably about 10 years ago, and I tried to get Cultural Affairs involved, they bought a dinner for the people, and that's as far as it went, even though it was for one of the largest stations in the UK. So right now, after all these years, Chicago is really supporting house music, and they had a full audience, and it's a very mixed audience, which is another thing about house music. I think a lot of people don't realize that so many different ages, so many different races. It's a melting pot of people that love it, and you know, the credo is you may be black, white, gay, straight. It really doesn't matter, because once you enter the house, you know, it is our house. So that's it. I mean, you know, but house music, as I said, the origins are Chicago. Trax Records is the original home. I was one of the first artists on Trax. I am, of course, an artist now and just had my own new album come out, and people like Vice Magazine gave it great reviews all over the world, Rolling Stone. And basically, I think house music is bigger than ever.
Rachael, were you the founder of Trax?
Well, no, I was one of the first artists. You could say that Jesse Saunders, myself, and Vince Lawrence were very instrumental in founding it, along with Larry Sherman at Musical Products. It was a record pressing plant for vinyl in Bridgeport. So it's very interesting because house music is a DJ medium, and I think the fact that the premier house label started out as a vinyl pressing plant would make a lot of sense.
What's it cost to make a short run of vinyl?
Oh, wow. Well, it's a lot more expensive now. I mean, we do vinyl, but actually we have a P&D deal out of the UK with Prime Direct distribution.
Because vinyl has really come back. I know the
Yeah.
young kids are, they all got their record players again.
There was a whole feature in NPR this morning about flex vinyl being a new hot tool that particularly new artists really need to be ready to just ready to ship it out.
Yeah.
You know, the flexible disc.
Exactly.
Which I remember being a promotional thing that came in magazines back in the day.
You are right. Well, the flex vinyl, and actually, you know, the pressed vinyl, I know that's well over $1,000 for a short run, and then you've got to consider mastering and all the things that go into it. But it's another thing is that vinyl is the best way to historically preserve music. It lasts longer than
My
anything.
kid brought me home a whole bunch of 78 Gene Autry records yesterday.
Oh my God!
Which I thought would have been worth a fortune. He said he paid $5 at Reckless Records.
Well, there you go. I know you're paying like hundreds of dollars to get Fantasy, you know, on eBay.
Tell me about what currently is going on in house music in not only Chicago but around the country and beyond.
Oh gosh, we're touring everywhere. I've, toured Amsterdam, London. So we're touring. I'm making a motion picture, yes, called The House the Trax Built, and there is a documentary, in fact, which has not been released yet, but I've actually brought you a copy here. And
right on.
yes, the 25th anniversary, and you just played my song, You Used to Hold Me, from the 25th anniversary. And today at Gramophone, at about 1 o'clock, I'll be there with a very limited amount of these.
It's Record Day.
Yes, it is. And the other thing about Record Day that I want to tell everybody is that we have another vinyl record release for Record Day. We have the Adonis No Way Back, with mixes by Azarian 3 and Mix Hell, which are huge acts out of the UK that just adore Trax, adore Chicago. In the world's eyes, we are everything.
You know, we take a lot of heat, but people still love Chicago.
They do.
So I lost my next question, but
George Clinton.
Rachel, what is there any radio stations playing much of the house music these days?
Well, you know, I think that, yes. I mean, around the world, I think everybody is playing a lot of house music. I really do mean that. And I think, you know, house is now, you know, when people like Lady Gaga do house, for God's sakes, house is everywhere. Madonna does house. I mean, but I will say one thing. Rolling Stone said that Trax Records had the 7th greatest EDM record of all time. Forget about EDM, it's all house music. They just don't want to give Chicago the credit. But Madonna was number 22, Trax was number 7, and Daft Punk was number 1, and I'm with that. I think they made a very good choice, and I respect Rolling Stone.
Do you have any upcoming events you want to tell us real quick?
Well, today I'm going to be at Record Day. That's one thing that I'm doing. I'm performing in New Orleans on the 29th of May at Mahogany, which is the Mahogany Jazz Hall, which is actually very legendary and been around forever. They've made jazz
Great
songs
venue.
about it. Yeah, so I'm excited about that. And going to New York, I'm going to be doing the Mermaid Parade. Yes.
Ooh la la.
Yes, and that, I believe, is
La,
June
la, la.
20th, so that's going to be fun at Coney Island. So, yep, keep
Oh, isn't that where they have the hot dog eating contest?
They do, but this is the mermaid.
I hope it's separate.
They probably do, but this is the Mermaid Parade. And believe
Okay.
me, in New York, that's loved. But I want to tell you about this record that I did with George Clinton.
Sure.
Right? Because who doesn't love George Clinton? The Funk Master General. And we've got Steve Wolf in the house, who was one of the people that actually put me together with George Clinton. And this is George Clinton's first real house music record. So between, you've really got to say, I mean, Lynn, who's known me forever, and
Lynn is our musical producer.
she's wonderful, and she getting, you know, me together with Steve, and Steve getting together, you know, with her, and then I've got Michael White, who designs all the wonderful, you know, denim for our acts, and with Equatoria, and his he's got a test store here in town, and I think, you know, all these things are what makes house music unique and makes it Chicago. So this record, let's give it a
All
spin.
right, we're going to hear George Clinton, and we want to thank you, Rachael Cain, for coming on the Heartland Show. And y'all listen up to this George Clinton tune, and we'll be right back with more of the show. We're going to have Joey Mogul coming up talking about the reparations settlement.
And it's called Our House is Functified. So get it today at Gramophone on the Trax Records 25th anniversary.
Thank you,
CD,
Rachel.
DVD.